kung habang iniisip natin yung upcoming Christmas, December, and then the year ahead, anong outlook ninyo sa future natin? Ito ba ay positive or negative? Or somewhere in between? Anong ninyo? Pakita lang ng thumbs up ba o thumbs down? Uy, sure? Sure yan? Ayan. At least may isang negative. Sabi na lang. Pero ano po, no? Hello Kuya Ferdy. So I'm glad na nandun po tayo sa positive. And I hope ganun nga yung outlook natin. Kasi of course, nandun po yung lowering ng cases, but at the same time, I think many people are looking towards ano kaya ang Delta Plus. Ito ba ay affect sa country natin? Sana hindi, no? But as we are thinking about that, I'd like to share siguro just a meditation on what's coming up for us and thinking about the future. And sometimes medyo may anxiety, ano? Ang inisip ko dito lagi si Bonek sa kanyang future. Ito ba ay matutuloy na at makakapunta siya sa Japan or elsewhere. But I think it's true for all of us, no? Siguro may plans kayo to go to, saan kayo pupunta after sa pandemic. So anyway, one of the scriptures that I always look to when it comes to change is this one of Elijah. Kung kilala niyo si Elijah, siya ay isang napaka-famous na prophet during the time of Israel. In fact, Godoy, maalala mo yung isang napaka-significant na ginawa ni Elijah? Saan siya kilala?
Kilala si Elijah sa competition niya with the prophets of Baal.
Ayan, no?
So sa Mount Carmel.
Yes, that's the most popular and known as the man. Actually, it was the Lord, no, na nag-bring down ng fire from heaven, challenging the prophets of Baal. But these verses come right after that, kasi tuwang-tuwa si Elijah kasi nangyari ang maraming bagay. Namatay yung mga prophets ni Baal at parang bumabalik na yung mga tao, pati yung king nila na si King Ahab ba yun, Godoy, no?
Yes po.
Parang bilib na bilib siya kay Elijah. Tapos sinabihan niya yung asawa niya. So ayun na, no? Sabi ng asawa niya, nag-send ng message yung asawa niya na si Jezebel, pagbukas hindi ko nagawa yung ginawa mo sa prophets ko. Bantay-bantay ka, Elijah. And Elijah got so depressed because for him, parang hindi na nag-change, no? And so he kinda got depressed at that time. I think Pastor Rene gave a message of this before. And then it came to a point na nakarating siya sa cave. And let's look at this, no? Ito yung nakasulat sa 1 Kings 19:9. He came to a cave and he lodged in it. And behold, the word of the Lord came to him. And it's an interesting word kasi ito yung sinabi ng Panginoon, what are you doing here, Elijah? And no, so parang of all the experiences ni Elijah, the word of the Lord that came to him was in the form of a question. What are you doing here, Elijah? But I like it because it is, in a sense, very personal, no? So can you imagine the Lord at this point, no? Even as you think about what's coming next, what's the future for you, for us as a family, for us as a church, siguro matanong, what are you doing here, Bonek, no? What are you doing here, Robelin? What are you doing here, Kuya Ferdy?
Wala kami, Pastor. Sorry po.
Okay lang. Naka-record naman po ito. What are you doing here? Rhetorical question lang po, no? But I'm just saying, no, that this could also be something for the Lord for you. No? Ano ang ginagawa natin dito at this time? And Elijah, no, what are we doing here, CBCM? Elijah replied in the very next verse, sabi niya, he said, I have been very jealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the people of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, killed your prophets with the sword, and I, even I only, am left. And they seek my life to take it away. So parang for Elijah, the future was very negative, no? The past was negative already kasi parang hindi niya nabago ang mga people ng Israel. And then feeling niya is siya na lang yung natitira. Okay? And so the Lord told him to go out and stand on the mount before the Lord. And this happened. Now, behold, the Lord passed by, and a great and strong wind tore the mountains and broke in pieces the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, the sound of a low whisper. And when Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his cloak and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. So in a sense, it seems to be a sort of parable, no? Maraming bagay ang nangyari before him. Wind, earthquake, fire, and yet no spectacular sights, almost like the miracles that the Lord did, and yet hindi doon ang Panginoon, no? But the Lord was to be found in the sound of a low whisper. And so, you know, maybe that's a question for us. Saan natin matatagpuan ang Panginoon at this point? Okay? Is it in the great miracles that we are seeing before us, or is it in the sound of a low whisper? And hopefully you are, you know, in your quiet moments, hearing that sound of, you know, the voice of the Lord, because I think that's the most important. If we think about, you know, change for things that would go positive, kailangan natin marinig ang still small voice of the Lord. And behold, there came a voice to him and said, again, inulit ng Panginoon ang question, what are you doing here, Elijah? Okay, and I don't know if it brings you to that point, no? But maybe again asking us that same question. And the response of Elijah was actually the very same thing, no? Ganon din, no? 1 Kings 19:14 is exactly the same as 1 Kings 19 verse 10. He just said the same thing again. And it's a good point, no? Yun talaga yung focus niya. He was very jealous for the Lord, the God of hosts, for the people of Israel, and feeling niya mag-isa lang siya. And so God did this. Ang sabi ng Panginoon sa kanya, go return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus, and basically appoint 3 other persons, si Hazael, si Jehu, and si Elisha, who would take his place as the prophet. And if you look at the history nito, sila actually yung nagbago totally to eliminate Baal worship in the land of Israel. Isang bagay na gustong gawin ni Elijah sa kanyang lifetime, at doon siya na-disappoint kasi hindi nangyari. So kinda no pointing out na yes, we may have plans for the future, but it's usually as we look to the Lord that ito ay magiging victorious. And then he ends with, yet I will leave 7,000 in Israel, all the knees that have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth that has not kissed him. In a way saying to Elijah na actually hindi ka nag-iisa, no? Meron pang remnant, meron pang others who are faithful as well towards me. And so, just as a reflection, no, as we think about this, do we also have an overriding purpose, no? Do we have it as an, as a individual? Maybe we need to think about what that is as a church, and siguro share ni Pastor a vision for that. But even as we look towards that, baka may feeling na overwhelmed tayo, and that's okay. No, it's good to be overwhelmed, especially if we get a great and overriding vision or purpose galing sa Panginoon. But in the end, let me say that actions that result in deep permanent change are those that come about by listening to the Lord and acting on what we hear. So I want to leave it like that, even as you consider this story of Elijah. So sana po ito ay magbigay ng good pause and good look towards the future. Ayan lang po. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Patuloy pong mag-usap ang Panginoon sa atin kahit sa ating mga pananalangin. We might be a silent voice, yung prayer natin na maging tinig sa mga nangangailangan ng encouragement at this time. Okay.